What's going on, family? See, look, I want to start off by reading you a story that comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 26, starting at verse 36. And this is when Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane, right? And it says this: Then Jesus went with them to the olive grove called Gethsemane. He said, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took Peter and Zebedee's two sons, James and John. And he became anguished and distressed. And he told them, "My soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." He went on a little further, bowed his face to the ground, praying, "My Father, if it is possible, let the cup of suffering be taken away from me. Yet I want your will to be done, not mine." It is at this point in Jesus' life where he's going through an immense amount of pressure. He is going through a crushing season within his life because of everything that he has to go through on his way to the cross. And so I want you to be able to recognize the symbolism that is going on here, because Gethsemane represents olive grove. And I looked up at what happens to an olive grove. So what happens is olives go through an immense amount of pressure to become olive oil. And they're going through a crushing phase where the olive oil, and they're going through a crushing phase, and then they go through an extraction period where the olive oil is taken one way, which is the good stuff, and the waste and the water is taken another way, which is the bad stuff. See, right now, Jesus is going through that crushing phase. God is removing any doubts that Jesus may have on his way to the cross. He's removing these things because, as Jesus said, he said, "Yes, I want you to take this suffering away from me, but I want your will to be done." So right now, that doubt, those negative emotions that he may be going through right now, though that anguish, that distress that he's going through right now is going one way. But all of the good, which is the sureness that he has and what God's will is for his life, is going another way, which was beneficial for us, because once God took him through that crushing period, he was able to confidently go up to the cross so that we can be united with God through his crucifixion. And so right now, a lot of you are going through that crushing season within your life. You are going through an immense amount of pressure within your life, whether if it's in relationships, whether if it's in jobs, whether if it's in your personal life. You're going through an immense amount of pressure. God is crushing out of you all of the doubt, all of the negativity, all of the bitterness, all of the rage, all of the harshness. He's crushing all of those things out of you right now. And I know it sucks. It hurts. It does not feel good. When you're going through a crushing or a pruning season within your life, it does not hurt, because God has to cut certain things out of your life. He has to cut certain people out of your life. He has to remove certain habits that you're used to doing on a day-to-day basis. So this process does not feel good. As we see Jesus going through this moment of feeling such anguish, such distress. And I think it's in the book of John where it talks about, as he cried, his tears became blood hitting the ground. So Jesus is going through a very hard period in his life. He's going through a very hard period in his life. But one of the things that we need to pay attention to is what he's doing through that hard period of his life. He is getting in the presence of God. He is praying to his Father, asking for help. And even in the midst of asking for help, he's telling him, "But I want your will to be done. If this is something that I have to go through, if this is something that I have to endure because you have called me to it, God, let it be done. Because I don't want to do anything that you're not present in. I don't want to do anything that you have not called me to." And a lot of times we do find ourselves in positions doing the opposite of what God has called us to, or trying to run away from what he needs us to do in those moments. No, we don't need to run from the crushing period in our lives. We don't need to run from the pruning season in our lives. We need to be able to endure whatever God has for us, because what's on the end of that is the greatest blessing that you will ever experience in your life. God is trying to separate you right now from things that is deviating you from the path that he's on. He's trying to remove things from you that is disconnecting you in your relationship with him. So we have to go through this crushing period, because we don't want to go into the next season of our lives holding on to that doubt, holding on to that bad relationship, holding on to that position that's at work that's not fulfilling us. We don't want to go into the next season of our lives with this type of baggage. So we have to be able to endure the crushing season of our lives. And we need to be able to endure it in the same way that Jesus did in the Garden of Gethsemane. Going to our Father, "God, please help us through this moment. Give us the strength. I don't want to go through it, but if it is your will for me to go through it right now, please give me the endurance to go through it. Because as the book of James chapter 1 verse 2, it tells you when opportunities of trouble come, when troubles of any kind come, consider it an opportunity of great joy. Because when your faith is tested, your endurance has an opportunity to grow. And when your endurance is growing in that way, now you're being made perfect and complete. God is trying to change the trajectory of your life right now. He is. He's trying to change everything. Even in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon said this. He said, God created everybody to be virtuous, but people decided to follow their own downward path. No, God is trying to lead you into something better within your life, but you have to be willing to go through the crushing season of your life. You have to be willing to endure the hard times that come. Because he also said in there, enjoy those moments of prosperity while you can. But when hard times do strike, understand that these come from God. Both come from God. God is going to give you good times, and he's also going to give you bad times. Those bad times are those crushing periods within our lives. Those bad times are those pruning moments within our lives where he's trying to remove certain things that he knows is going to hinder us down the path that he's setting us on. I want all of us to be spiritually strong in these moments, willing to endure whatever God is sending us through. Every day is not going to be good. I'm telling you, every day is not going to be good whatsoever. There are going to be bad days mixed in with the good days, but we have to be willing to seek him the same way that we would during the good days. God is trying to elevate your life. He's trying to bring you into a greater season of your life, but you have to be willing to go through the crushing season. You have to be willing to be pressed a little bit. You have to be pressed a little bit because during that pressing period, what is being produced out of you is going to change the lives of so many people that is connected to you. And what is being pressed out of you, the negative stuff, is going to be thrown away. You don't have to worry about that anymore because God is teaching you he's teaching you and he's preparing you how to deal with difficult days to come. I'm telling you, we have to go through the crushing. We have to be willing to be pressed with immense amount of pressure on our lives because what God is producing in us is going to be amazing. It's going to give us the substance that we need to continue the mission that he set us on. I'm telling you, don't give up, family. Don't give up. All right? I love y'all.